here.
How was the emotional oranges? That was last night, right? Or 2 nights ago?
Yes, that was hype. It was amazing.
Oh
It was
man,
Yeah,
so
I've listened to
good.
a few of their songs and I loved it, but
I
yeah.
am one of their biggest fans. I adore them so much. I saw them in LA when I lived there 2 years ago.
okay.
And it was one of the best shows ever. And I was like hooked instantly from that. That was my first time ever like really listening to the music was a live experience. So the fact that their live experience hooked me onto them was just like I had to see them again. And they killed it in Boston and they had some great openers as well. And it's so much fun. And they're really good and engaging with their fans too. Like I posted all these videos on my stories and they like wrote back to me and they were like, we love all these shots. Like, so
Oh
it's
wow,
really
they actually said words. They didn't just like repost it.
no, they actually like, or they didn't just like it either. They were like, we wish we could have posted these. We're just like sad that we didn't post, like we posted earlier and we saw these later.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Well,
oh, that's
that's
sweet.
good.
Yes. And they
Yeah.
like were commenting on pretty much like all their fans, like who had like a cool fit at their concert. They were like saying, we love this outfit and we love this. So
That's
Awesome.
cool.
very
I
engaging.
think
We
we
love that.
we hit them up about this tour and we definitely didn't get a response. But that's a lesson for everybody watching right now is that you're never gonna get 100% of opportunities that you try to get.
Yes. No,
Would've been
honestly,
cool.
and that's something I want us to definitely talk about too, because I think as a creative, especially starting out, there's definitely, like a rough patch of like trying to get those projects to work on.
Yeah.
So how you guys
Sure.
go about that, I think is going to be
And
something.
we're still in it at times.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm pretty sure people stay in it for a while, even if they're getting like pretty good jobs. But
yeah. Even the industry, I don't we'll get into it. We'll get into it. I don't want to
I'm just typing to actually the BU Music Business Club kids, if anybody wants to hop in right now, they're just getting out of their meeting.
Oh, sweet.
There's a lot of kids in that group who want to get into the creative space. So
Awesome.
all right, awesome. Well, why don't we get started then? So that way you guys can go through it all with us and kind of tell us the whole story. And I gave you guys, kind of a heads up, but for at least the intro, I'm first going to say that everybody who's tuning in, these guys are so cool. And I actually had told y'all when I saw him the other day, like a couple months ago, maybe last month at an event, I told you that I had been following you like on Instagram for a while now, because I also did concert photography and had always been meaning to meet you. And I was really excited that one event that we happened to both be at did allow me to meet both of you guys and really get to see this powerhouse team that puts together some of the most incredible visuals I've ever seen. You guys are definitely incredibly accomplished, and you guys have now co-founded an amazing production company together that I think everyone else, yes, he's representing. Everyone go check it out.
Planet. Here we go. It's on the back too, even bigger.
So great. I love the logo. I think the logo is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want everybody to definitely hear all about it because I think it's definitely worth checking out, and just like something that aspiring creatives can kind of see, like the road you guys took. And I think as a creative, we can all agree that that path is never conventional. It's always got ups and downs and like twists and turns and roller coaster rides of everything.
Yeah.
So
It's
kind
the
of
most
seeing
dangerous.
Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. It's like
No,
the
go
most
ahead.
dangerous roller coaster in the world, I would say.
Absolutely. So I want you guys to take it away. Like, just tell me how both of you, like individually, kind of found your place and like why you chose the creative path. And then maybe from there, you guys can afterwards explain how you guys met.
yeah. Colin, do you want to go first?
Not really, but like you're kind of putting me on the spot.
I'll go. I don't mind.
Why don't we go back and forth? Because you kind of like you kind of mentioned a few points there, like how we got started, why the music scene. So I'll start with how I got started. Yes, like I've been around, I've been with cameras like my whole life. I started doing landscape photography with my dad. He would take me camping every summer. And then I was around music just as much. I played drums and guitar and produced a little bit. And then and I wanted to be a musician, but then I heard my voice recorded and I was like, yeah, that's not really, I don't think that would really happen. So yeah, and then I realized, oh, hey, I'm good at photography. If I can't be, recording a song with these artists, I could be at least photographing them. So then from there, just picked up on video because it just was more appealing to me. But yeah. Yes.
Well, I have a question for you, Colin. So who were the first people from Boston that you met when you moved out here?
Hum Beats. Because I was connected with Austin Fair. I'm from Western Mass too, so I'm not from Boston. I'm not a Boston native. I never claimed to be either. I'm not one of those people who says, yeah, I'm from Boston. But so grew up in Western Mass, and then an artist, a rapper, Austin Fair. He's cousins with a pretty well-known producer, Hum Beats, out here, and we just went to his studio one day, and it was out in I think Avalon, I want to say, and Hum just dropped a project with Notebook P, and so he's R&B, mainly R&B, and I love R&B, and I was looking for an R&B artist to really kind of team up with, and I was like, okay, he's across state, but like this is it. So from then on, I just started coming out here every couple of months, and started meeting more and more people. I met Notebook P, and then I met a few members of Van Buren, like gradually, until I finally was like in a room with all of them. But yeah, I want to say Hum Beats, but like Notebook P was the first person that I really like teamed up with, and really was like, okay, like he introduced me to everybody. So shout out to you, Pat. You're not here if you watch this, but shout out to you.
You got to send them this clip.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I started was a little bit, well, a lot of it like different basically, but so I was originally going to school in Philly at Drexel University as an environmental science major, and that was like 2014, 15. I had left Drexel and moved back here like during one of those massive blizzards that we had back in like 2015, 16. And so I'd taken the semester off, and all of my friends were out of state. So I really had nothing to do, wasn't in school, didn't have a job. And I was living with my dad at the time. And I remember that he had gotten me this like point and shoot camera at a yard sale like years back. And I just completely forgot about it until this time in my life. And so I grabbed it and basically just started doing street photography like during the blizzard. And this is while I was like looking for jobs and trying to figure out like what my next steps were. So I ended up getting a job at Fenway Park as a sales photographer, one of those like annoying people in the yellow shirts that like try to sell you a photo they just took of you. And that was kind of like my boot camp for shooting on a DSLR. And I basically kind of stuck with the camera that they gave me, which was Nikon. And I just continued on with that. After that, I was looking for like photo communities in Boston, and found this group called Portrait Meets. That was pretty big, at least when I was coming up. I think they still have some things now, but I'm not completely sure. So that was like my intro to like portrait photography as well. And I met a few good friends during that time as well. And then basically for music, I was working at my day job in downtown Boston. And this was like the last year Boston Calling was happening by City Hall. And after my shift, I had my camera. And so I went backstage and I was like, let me see if I can like capture a photo of someone cool walking out or something. And so I ended up waiting 6 hours backstage because I was so desperate just to like meet someone. And there were these two girls that were there who started freaking out when these two people walked out. I had no idea who they were, but I asked them. It ended up being the drummer for the Front Bottoms and their manager. And so I didn't know them, so I had no shame approaching them. So I walked right up to them and was just like, hey, like just looking for an opportunity to build like my portfolio. Could you guys get me in? And they basically kind of just like ignored me a little bit at first. And then the manager was like, hold on. And I ended up standing there for like 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden he just looks at me, he's like, you're good. So that was my first like music experience that I had in photography. I ended up like photographing this guy named Brendan Riley, who was on a song with Disclosure. And so after the festival, I sent him an email basically like explaining how I got in, and then a link to the photos. And that day he invited me to a Disclosure show in New York, Oceaga Music Festival in Canada, and then Firefly Festival in Delaware, all with Disclosure. And so I was only able to go to the Firefly one, but that was like really like my start. And like how I just realized that I could most likely make a living off of this. So I just continued like cold emailing people for like the years after that. Went back to school for a little bit. And then my junior year or end of my junior year of college, I got offered a US tour. So I dropped out of college, did the tour, and just never went back. So I continued doing photo after that. And I think that's when I met Colin for the first time. And it was at that VB show. It was Van Buren was opening up for Cousin Stiz for some Red Bull sponsored event. And that was the day we met. And then basically after that, we just saw each other from time to time. I think I hit him up to do some like BTS work on his own music videos at the time. And then we just realized
that was like a year after we met though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was
we just like interacted, saw each other at events, and then it was like summer of, was it the middle of the pandemic or was it before that? No, it was middle of the pandemic because we started this company at the start of this year. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Because it happened really fast. Like he hit me up, wanted to help out, wanted to do BTS, and then I was like, hey, like you're good at directing. Like I need help. So yeah.
So yeah, basically every time I was on set with you, like I ended up being like, oh, what if we try this? Or what if we try that? What if we try changing this? And then it just worked. And yeah, I don't know. It just worked that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then December is when we kind of like, early December is when we talked about working together, like officially. And then we established our LLC early January. And I've literally only been directing since January. But like the first 2 months, I basically was on YouTube University, like studying heavily, like how to make sure to do this right. And I'm still learning. And yeah, I mean, we're just taking it month by month.
So that's awesome. I think that's really cool that you guys, you have different backgrounds, but you guys somehow intersected at one point at this show and were able to really kind of see in both of you each other, like, the value in both of your skills and also your passion. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that in the music industry, it's all about passion. And it's all about that's really what brings people together in the first place to work with each other, is that, common underground, like music love that everyone just you can feel it and sense it in someone else. And that's when the energy and excitement, I know that Sharif, who's also listening right now, that's why Sharif and I started Channel Sounds, is for the same reason. And like, when you can work off each other and bounce off each other, that's like where the magic really happens. So that's really, really cool. So for you guys then, for like the creative system, why did you guys, I know you guys kind of mentioned it, like, it's kind of where you guys first really got into it, but what made you continue in the music space? And I know, like, Colin, I saw, you've been working with Topo Chico too, which is, as I told you guys, like one of my favorite beverages ever, but they're amazing. But I know that, and that's just you guys, kind of expanding horizons, but like, what initially, like, or why is it that you guys continue to do the music industry in this creative space? Like, what is it about it that draws you to that?
Honestly, it's just fun.
Yeah. That was gonna be my answer too. It's like,
yeah.
It's
I guess to go like a tiny bit deeper into it, like growing up, I was always known as like the kid who had like the big ideas, but nobody ever wanted to do it because it was just too big. And so I guess I always looked at like the music industry as one of like the industries that not many people get to be like successful at. And we're not there yet, but like I think we've made like a few decent milestones, and so I'm pretty proud of that. But all in all, it's just like it's a really fun industry to be in, as long as you know your shit and like sorry, I don't know if we can swear on here, but
you're good.
As long as you know your stuff, like it's like there's a lot of really cool experiences you're gonna have.
And that just reminded me, I didn't want to cut you off there. That just reminded me of one thing I wanted to say. This man started at festivals. You started on a tour. You got a tour within like 1 year of wanting to do this.
Yeah, that was something so I guess like so you started locally. I started cold emailing like B-list artists, and
Yeah.
like it worked for me in that time, but I think definitely nowadays it's a little bit harder to do that. Um, or at least to like get the yes from a majority of the artists. But you definitely like brought me on to the local scene. Like I think when I discovered VB, I had just started like seeing like who's around me, but I had never once thought about that like until I met you really. So thank you
Of
for
course.
allowing me to like, be someone in my own city.
Of course.
For sure. So now for you guys, like, what would you say, I guess, what have you guys seen from when you guys started in the creative industry, and what have you seen change, and maybe some, maybe future changes that you are expecting to happen, kind of? Because I feel like that, everything has transformed, especially now, like there's visualizers, which is a big thing now for artists to be using for content. And like with all the creative content you guys are developing, like what's something that was like a huge change that you guys had to adapt to and evolve with, and something that you think is coming next?
Well, I mean, the pandemic definitely changed everything for everyone.
Yeah, live
I'm
stream.
trying to really think. That was one because like you let us know about some of these questions, so I was like, that was one where I was like, I don't know what has really changed other than like just everybody in the Boston scene right now is just getting stronger. Like everybody, and that's the thing that I loved about the scene before I really before I moved out here. Because I would sleep at my friend's dorm every weekend, and like I would shoot weddings. I was shooting weddings in the mornings and like throughout the day, and then I'd come back up here, go to parties, go to concerts, and like it was a Notebook P show too, and I saw that there was no gap in between the stage and the crowd. Whereas back home, it's a lot better now. But back home, like I went to a few shows and I was like, dude, everybody's just kind of like chilling here. Nobody's really, turning up, grooving with the music. So, but I got there and like I didn't feel like out of place if like I let out a yelp or like was dancing and even just like snapping my fingers. And I just noticed that it's just like such a tight community. And from what I've seen so far, like it's just more people have joined it. And it's just and the people that I met first, like and myself included, like we're just off, and we're making it, like I hate to say it, make it out of Boston, but Boston is it's not a full music city yet. It's not like a New York or an LA. So I definitely see it. That's to answer that question too. I definitely see it becoming one of those. More venues are starting to open up that cater to hip hop, R&B, and local artists rather than like the old bands and big acts who can sell out House of Blues, Paradise Rock Club, no problem. So yeah, everyone's just succeeding, and just making great work, and making good business moves too. So
Yeah, there's a
yeah.
lot of Boston creatives who a lot of people don't know of who have made it out and are doing some pretty amazing things. Like we got Simon from Parallel Agency. He's a Massachusetts native and he is absolutely killing it right now. Him and Tony Pillow as well. And then we got Chris, who's in LA right now working with like Metro and a bunch of other big artists, Young Thug.
Who was Chris?
Chris Del He was actually, him and I had worked together at Fenway Park, and that's how I met him.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then we just have like a bunch of like it's just really cool how Boston's like so tight knit, and like when you're in this creative community, you really know everyone, and like everyone's supporting each other as well, which is super dope.
Definitely. And you guys have definitely worked on projects, outside of Boston as well, which I'm also advocating 100% that I love to see Boston finally, like, I think Boston always had this underground community, but I love to see that it's coming much more to the surface. And that's also partially, and I told you guys why I came back to kind of from LA, was hoping to kind of get more involved again back in this, because I really felt like there was an amazing grounding chord here in the creative scene. So happy to see that others are seeing that as well and believe in that. But for like what you guys have seen creatively in other cities that you guys have traveled to for projects or work, like I guess what would you say is like kind of a underlying theme that creatively you guys have had to always, kind of play by the book for, and some things that may have to change when you go city to city or artist to artist, whatever you may be, like projects that how they differ?
Well, I mean, honestly, we haven't really done too much work outside of Boston as like a company.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't really know how to best answer that question, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If
I guess
somebody
that's
had,
something we'll come to see.
yeah,
I have
hopefully.
kind of an answer. Like, and because we're starting to tap into New York right now. We have a couple connections out there. We were out there for the VB show, so we met a lot of really cool people, a lot of talented people too. Like it seemed like everyone that we met there did something creatively. That was just there to enjoy the show. So, but like thinking of New York, like in other cities, the thing that I think would be a challenge is really just not having those connections to like locations and studios and just not really knowing like the geography of it. Like I've never been to LA before. I plan on going soon. But it's like I don't know, Venice Beach, the Hollywood sign, Rodeo Drive. Like, I don't know. And those aren't even spots where like I would want to, I know the tourist spots. So it's really just mainly like the geography. Like if someone was like, hey, come out to LA and be like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? Like, what's, I don't know. I'm sure obviously it would take research. But yeah, I guess really just that.
From that, I could
New
definitely
York,
say that like the most important thing for any creative, no matter how talented you are, is just like to network. Like if you don't have friends in other cities, and like it's going to be almost impossible to do a job that you want to do. You can't like solely rely on yourself, and that's something that I realized like a few years back, and exactly why we partnered up too.
No, that totally makes sense. And like for you guys, I guess so as now a company, so why don't you guys tell me like why you guys started Ninth Planet Productions and kind of like what the goals are for the company moving forward?
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah, you can go.
All right, cool. So we started, I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier. Yaz hit me up, wanted to help out, and I needed help. But I didn't admit to myself that I needed help until he started helping me. And I was like, whoa, this is so much like it's still hard, but it's a lot easier. And I realized where my strengths were and where my weaknesses were working with Yaz. And that was, my weaknesses was coming up with treatments and budget breakdowns for every single video. So we started, like he came on to help me out, and then I don't know, I was like, okay, I can help you now. Like, you want to direct, like be the director, let me shoot and edit everything. And yeah, we really just wanted to, like, we want to grow, we want to help other people too. Like we are currently helping other people. Like I'm not afraid to admit that. We've put money in people's pockets, we've put connections into their phones, and they've helped us a ton, helping us create these visuals. So it's not just Yaz and I. There's a few other people behind Ninth Planet that make everything possible. So yeah, really just we started it just to, I don't know, you can't do this alone. Like you don't do channel sounds alone. So really just to help us help each other. And yeah, do you want to go into our goals, Yas? I'll let
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on one, and like I guess long term, I definitely want Ninth Planet to be like a resource, specifically in Boston, but mainly just for people who come from like low income neighborhoods where like they couldn't go to college, or like it just wasn't worth it for them, but they have talent, and like there's just no place to really like be discovered because of that. So I definitely like to give people opportunities whenever I can. So that's definitely one thing that I'd like to keep like within our company. But another thing is just like, we want to get real estate in the future. We want to, I don't know if you know of Jacob Owens and like Buff Nerds Media, but he basically was kind of the inspo for like what I want long term. And that's essentially just getting tons of properties and turning them into like studio rentals essentially. And they could be super cool, like custom 60s inspired rooms for specific types of videos or basic studio essentials or whatever. But yeah, I think that's like our, I guess our main mutual goal. But I'm sure like we both have our own personal goals. And that could either come from the company or just our own personal work as well. But yeah, I don't know if Colin, you want to go into that. Yeah, you're muted.
I keep muting and unmuting. I saw you do that. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like stop that.
I do that just in case, because I always have like outside the window, like all of a sudden a siren happens and I'm like, everything's ruined.
Yeah. But I think speaking for Yaz and I, we definitely want some overseas work. I personally, music aside, I would love to do a yacht commercial in Italy. That's been on my mind. I am Italian, so I've been talking about this for like a few months now. So I got to start, I don't know, I got to hit up like a yacht club in Boston and be like, hey, let me do a video for you, and then pitch it. But definitely overseas work, music wise too, like even if it's like a tour, or even like music videos. I feel like a tour overseas would happen sooner than a whole video overseas. But definitely like Europe, Japan. I think we would love to go there. But yeah, luxury real estate, definitely do that. Fashion stuff too. Like we did some fashion stuff throughout this year. That was pretty fun. So yeah, overseas definitely.
We're also in the midst of like brainstorming like our merch that we want to do. So we have like two sides of it. I'm not going to go too far into it because like we haven't really dove into it that much yet, but
yeah, it's coming though.
I have this idea that's going to be very, very unorthodox for merch, but
love that.
So we'll see how.
But yeah, definitely teas like this though are coming. I didn't make this actually. I got surprised from it. I just moved into this apartment at the beginning of September, and one of my friends, I'm gonna plug him real quick. Screen and Stitch Printing. That is they make shirts, they make merch for you. So he was like, hey, what's your address? I want to send you a gift. So I was like, boom, here we go. And then 10 days later, I was like, oh my God, like I have merch. I have so many colorways already. We'll definitely do basic ones, but we're gonna have some really cool colors. And then some even more like unique pieces.
That's so exciting. Love that.
But yeah, I'm excited for that too, because I'm a video guy, but just coming up with the different colors and kind of like remixing the logo.
Getting a different side of design outside of now the visual creative content.
Yeah.
I feel like Colin and I are definitely inspired by Tyler the Creator when it comes to like, we aren't limited to one type of creative space. Like we like to kind of test all waters, but it's definitely gonna be fun.
I was actually going to ask who inspires, so that's great. That was good that you guys kind of mentioned that.
And it's funny now that you mentioned Tyler, I have to go back to sort of how we met too.
Oh yeah,
I have to say it, yeah, because we didn't realize. So we met, face to face at the Red Bull Cousin Stiz show. I moved here in 2018. That was August 2019. So we met there, but then it wasn't till late last summer, I think.
It was like I think it was like a few months ago.
It was more than 6. It was more than 6 months ago. But we were talking and we were like, we were talking about what shows we've been to. And I was like, I saw Tyler the Creator in Worcester at the Palladium. And I was just like, me too. I was photographing that show. And this is when I was first starting out. So I didn't reach out until the day of to the venue. Or actually didn't reach out to them at all until I got there. I had my camera in the car. I waited in line for like 5 or 6 hours, didn't eat, didn't hydrate. It was November. I was freezing. And I get in there and I asked them and they're like, dude, if you emailed us yesterday, you could be in here with your camera right now. So I went and enjoyed the show. And because of not eating and dehydration, I lasted one song in the pit. It was my first rap concert too. So I knew
This
it
is
was going to be
2018,
crazy,
right?
but like, huh?
I think this is 2018. Or is this
Yeah, it was the Flower Boy tour.
2018? Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Yeah. So it was terrible, and I was about to pass out, so I had to leave the pit. And I went up on the balcony, and then this dude walks by with a camera, and I'm like, man, I'm happy for him, but I'm mad because that should be me. And yeah, so like a few months ago, Yaz and I are talking about that, and now looking back on it, I was like, yeah, like I don't know what you looked like back then, but what you look like now is like, that was about your build, you know, like silhouette wise.
I was the
Like,
only guy up there. I can tell you that.
yeah, so I was like, damn, so that was you. So I feel like honestly, it was kind of like fate, us getting here and doing this. Like the universe had their plan.
Yes.
And I guess their plan just wasn't for us to meet, because I almost did go up to him too. I almost like was gonna talk to him and be like, hey man, like I'm trying to be like you. Like
I would have been like, dude, this is my first venue show. I don't know.
yeah. And I'm
Kind.
So all right, yeah, jumping back here now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's very, very funny
Yeah, just a
too.
random funny story. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. So actually, I'd love to like kind of so quickly I'll ask this and then I'll have you guys answer the next question. So first question is, what do you guys kind of separates your creativity as a whole from, other visual content creators out there? Like what's like that
Boy.
thing that you say you guys have? That's a tough one. Sorry, did not give you that one beforehand.
No, but I like the on the spot ones, because like I said, I was nervous before this. I feel good right now.
Good.
I want to do more of these.
I'll let you go first.
You want? I don't really know. I think definitely ours. And I feel like it's mainly speaking for myself personally. Just from I've seen nationwide though too. Because I've worked with this band Bleachers Music.
Yes.
So I shot their Boston show. Oh my God, I'm announcing on here. I haven't even posted about that yet.
Everyone, this is all confidential. Hush hush.
Yeah. No, but I worked with them, and I got a reference video. They're like, hey, this is kind of the style we're looking for. And then so I did mine. I killed it. They loved the video. And my point of contact said like, hey, this is like one of my favorites. So I'm doing some more work with them in a few weeks. But I looked back on all the others, and I honestly think it's the coloring, because that is a huge part of it. Because we start with this desaturated profile, like you can't really tell what colors are what. But from what I've seen from other people's, it's like, I don't know. I feel like my color, like, I don't know. It feels weird still talking confidently.
Yeah, of course, as it always will. No one can write a self-reflection essay.
Yeah, like my color grading, I think that's what really makes it stand out. Like other people's are good too and great. And there's people who are way better than me. Don't get me wrong. There's people who I'm like, okay, I need to get on that level. But from what I've seen, I don't know. That's what I could really. That's what comes off the top of my head. Because there's so many great visual creators out here. So yeah, I guess I don't know the colors. Like,
I agree. I don't see anybody else doing the same type of color grades that you do. So
yeah,
I would agree.
That's awesome. For sure. How about you, Yaz?
I mean, I don't really know the process that every other creative like goes through. So I don't know if we have like the same type of like starting methods when it comes to editing, at least photo wise. For me, when it comes to editing photos, I have never in my life used Lightroom. I've never used like a filter or anything like that. And like sometimes this actually hurts me. Like sometimes when I'm editing 200 photos in a row, I edit each one individually, depending on like how I feel it should be. So like each photo can be a completely different vibe. And like sometimes I'll go for like a grainy look. Sometimes I'll go for like a black and white, but like a kind of like fuzzy type of look, or like a really grunge raw type of look. So I don't know how I would stand within other creatives, but at least like I know that I don't think many people do that when it comes to editing.
For
That's
sure.
all
It's
I
kind of like a
really-
range too. It's kind of more dynamic. It's not just a set style, but it's like you can,
It's
adapt
whatever
and
I
play.
feel. Yeah, it's just whatever I feel for each photo. But that's all I really can think of for this
Yeah.
I
question.
got one more that because you mentioned the process, and I would say our like kind of pre-production, especially now that Yaz and I have teamed up, because he creates the treatment, and he does an amazing that like the treatment itself is a work of its own.
Actually, not to interrupt too, could you share? So maybe some people in the audience don't know what a treatment is, because that's something that I think a lot of people who jump into this industry like learn in the process, like kind of stumble on. But could you explain what a treatment is?
Yeah,
You know what's
So we
crazy?
actually just
Yeah, I didn't even know what a treatment was before January. So
There you go.
and we
So,
just
yeah.
asked, and we get asked that too. We just got asked earlier. Like we said, like, hey, like if we need directing, we can do that. But if not, like we'll need to see a treatment first. And they asked what a treatment was. Do you want to give the rundown, Yaz, or
yeah,
you're
I mean,
director,
a treatment
so
is like it's essentially just like a storyboard kind of. Well, honestly, treatments can be different per director. Every director has like their own unique type of style that they like. And it's really just like a representation of how you want to portray your idea. So I know we have a videographer in Boston, good friend named Rico. She's an amazing director, and she told me that like her style for treatments is literally just writing the words that she hears in her mind. So it's literally like a conversation for her treatments. Mine are more like I'll grab photos from like movies that really represent like what I envision in my mind. And I'll kind of just write like a general idea of what I want the scene to look like. And so it's really just that. It's just like laying out what you want each type of scene to look like, color themes, outfit
Like a mood
styles.
board, a giant mood board.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a very in-depth mood board.
Yes,
Yeah,
you have
with
like the
pictures and
narrative
words.
going on too.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
like I know when it comes to directors who are a little bit more established and are working with directly with like only labels, it's a lot more of like a grueling process where treatments are basically applications for music videos. So a label will reach out to like five directors that they know of or were recommended to, and basically it's sometimes it's first come first serve. I know that helps when it comes to being selected, but you really just have to create the best treatment that you can with your own style, and then you get selected in that way. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to emphasize that like every treatment is really up to how you want it to look. And yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
but I would say like our process, like how in depth we kind of go with it now, like for the past couple of months. Because Yaz will, create a treatment. He will go crazy with that. It's usually about like, I want to say like 7 minimum slides. So he'll go crazy with that, and then I'll create a whole shot list. Like we will scout the location to see like where the sun will be at 5 p.m. At this park or whatever. And some people have even said that, said like that's what makes us stand out. And some people have before like we've even shot, they're like, I'm curious what your process is. I've worked with other videographers, like this guy I've worked with so many times, and we kind of have a rough idea, and then like we get to shoot day, and we do that rough idea, we add a little bit on, take a little bit off, but like we'll still improvise on set, but like for the most part we're very just like shoot day comes, we know exactly what we're doing, what time we're doing
Detail
it, where.
oriented.
So
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. And even before, like I was big on organization, even before Yaz came on, he has helped so much with that. But like, yeah, I've always been like, I don't want to be, when I first started out, yeah, I was like, okay, I'll come at 1 p.m. and we'll see what we do. But now I'm like, nah, like I want to know just, at 3 p.m. what scene are we shooting? Obviously it doesn't always go to plan, it's film. It usually never is right on time.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely production I think makes us stand out, and just like the professionalism that we have in organization. So
Yeah.
And I mean, and that only really came from like role models like Jacob Owens. Like I again, I studied like YouTube University, I call it, and just heavily just watch videos on how to do everything like as professionally as possible, because I didn't want to go into this like as a new director in Boston who has been in the scene for a while, but like hasn't done this. And so I didn't want to like, create bad stuff.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's like the main reason why we have all these templates that we got to make sure that contracts are good, budget breakdowns are good. All of pre-production is just has to go like smoothly or else.
Yeah. The not so
Um,
glamorous side of the creative ideation portion,
yeah,
but you got to
exactly.
have that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, honestly,
So,
I love it. I guess I grew up with so my dad, who's in this chat right now, actually, he is a businessman essentially. And so I guess I got those traits from him. But I'm a creative at heart, but low key, like I love the business side of it.
that's awesome. And I think there's, they kind of go hand in hand a lot of the times, like being in business is creative as well. So
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
definitely it's a good thing to have, a business mind going to the creative space. So now I actually wanted to ask about that, speaking of like, processes and such, but I would love to have you guys kind of maybe just share like a hypothetical or maybe an anonymous like project that you guys have worked on or so, but kind of a walkthrough of how that process works for you guys, like how you go about pitching it, or if how did somebody reach out to you, and then how do you guys go from there, and just kind of quickly in like a quick roundabout way, just share like how did that usually on a usual basis for you guys go?
Okay. I think we should probably talk about our biggest one yet. Right? You think, Yas?
Who's that?
The Bodega and Reebok commercial.
Okay, yeah. We
And
won't
I got
make
the
it
shoes on right now too. So,
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm wearing shoes in the house. Judge they're just comfy right now. I don't do it all the time.
Gotta mute him now.
But yeah, I think that would be a good one because that was our biggest one yet as a team, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically their art director reached out to me and was like, and I've been wanting to work with them for a few years now. I moved to Boston and someone was like, yo, have you been to Bodega? And I was like, nah, I see like all these stickers around. Like, what is that? And they're like, it's like a clothing store that looks like a bodega. And then you walk through the secret door and yada, yada, yada. And then I looked at the clothes and saw what they did with other artists out here. And I was like, okay, like that's a dream client. So then their art director, he reached out to me and he was like, hey, we need a video like turned around in 2 weeks. And I was pretty busy. But I was like, okay, like I need to do this. So basically, I hopped on a call individually with him and they sort of told us like, hey, it's a shoe with Reebok. Like here's some samples of it. You guys basically, and I wasn't expecting this, like such a big company, they're like, you have full creative freedom. And I was like, okay. At first I was like, oh, you're gonna have a director. Like he reached out to my personal Instagram. So no, it wasn't like the Ninth Planet or anything. So I was like, oh, you just want me, like you just need someone to shoot and edit it. But he was like, you have full creative freedom. So I was like, okay, let me bring my director in. So then I told Yas, I called him up right away and I was like, dude, Bodega just hit me up. And boom, take it away, Yas, for your director part.
Yeah, I mean, so the crazy thing is that there was an original treatment for the video that we did. And for that one, I got a little bit too creative and I didn't realize that what they were looking for was something a little bit more simplistic. So
well, they didn't tell us. They did not say, hey, we want it to be simple.
No, after.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of what they wanted. So I just went all out. And so I created like this crazy, like it's something that maybe we'll see in a future client.
Oh, we're definitely using that. Yeah.
But yeah, so I created the treatment for the video that was released. And basically the process was I would send the treatment to the art director. He kind of just he gave his feedback on it. And this was like a best case scenario because he knows how to draw. So he basically created like drawings of what he envisioned for certain scenes. And that helped like immensely when it came to finalizing the treatment. After that, I basically took the budget that we were given, did a budget breakdown when it came to what crew members we were going to bring on, rentals, if we needed locations, all that stuff. Then organized all those, contacted all the crew members, whoever was going to be involved, did contracts, And that's basically like the gist of the pre-production. But for like the idea of the video, I was definitely making sure that whoever was involved, like casting wise, were people who had like created a name for themselves in Boston. So if you rewatch it and like you are heavily tapped into like the fashion, music, and political scene in Boston, you'll realize that like there's two people from each of those categories who are pretty like prevalent in the Boston scene right now. Um,
I take a lot of pride in having that too, because you
yeah,
know, like we got this amazing opportunity. Like there's videographers, photographers, and even like musicians that have dreamed of like working with that. So I was like, okay, I'm taking this opportunity. You know, I got this, you know, like for both of us, but it's like, let's make it bigger than just Colin and Yaz and Ninth Planet. Like, let's make it a Boston thing.
Love
Um,
that.
so that's just one thing. Like, you're reminding me of that. I haven't thought of that
yeah.
in a little bit. So yeah, I
That
really,
shoot was definitely like one of the most fun shoots we've had because it just felt like a family reunion.
Love
It
that.
was just
Yeah.
it was amazing.
yeah. Yeah. So Yaz like created his, so he did the treatment and everything. It got approved, the second one. And then so then from there, I made a shot list, and sort of thought of like sound design. We used a lot of like just natural, like we were just running around the South End basically the whole day. So just a lot of just natural city sounds. So made the shot list, and then you know, shoot day, we're there, we go through it. That one though, like my mind, like you saw me, Yaz, and even the art director Ricky, like he said to either Yaz or someone else on set, and they're like, Colin's got a lot of energy. Because like I just like, was this the one that I was really nervous for and you weren't?
I think we were both nervous,
No, no,
but
no, yeah, no. I was really nervous. Because when we did another shoot about like a month prior with this artist Francis Forever. And like I picked Yaz up and like he was directing it. He made this crazy thing and he was so nervous. And I was like, dude, I'm chilling. Like, have a sip of coffee. Like, you know, like I got this, bro. Like, if you have any questions, like I'm ready. Like, I can, you know, pick you up here. So then for this shoot though, it was flip flop. I was there and I was like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. Like, we got it all planned, but it's like I'm nervous. But as soon as I started shooting, like my mind, like I just loved it. Like I had so much fun, and my mind was just like, oh, like we had this one shot. The main talent was Cave, a phenomenal artist out in Boston. Um, but so I was like, oh, we have this one shot, and he's, you know, leaving the stoop or leaving his house. The whole treatment was he's leaving the house, he's got the shoes on, and then it's just a day in life. He's saying what's up to all these people, which are the artists throughout Boston. And I was like, how can I, you know, make this walk more like exciting? So like just on set, like I saw an alley with like a stairwell going to a basement. I was like, you know what? I need to jump down there for one shot. It was a half a second in the final video. Like I hid behind trees and like my mind really just like went crazy. And in a good way. Um and yeah, so we shot that. And then as far as like post-production goes, like I'm moving away from editing, honestly. And mainly I'm still gonna do coloring, but mainly just shooting and coloring. But I edited this, so like we did the edit. He loved it at first, but then he was like, and as always, like everybody has certain, like when we do have people do BTS, like we have even a little couple tiny little things. So he just really had only a few notes, and it was like, make this clip shorter a little bit, change this sound. So it took us probably, I want to say 2 to 3 like revisions to get it perfected. And then from then on, some clients, you know, have a whole rollout plan already. Bodega pretty much did, because they sent us the photos that they used to advertise the shoes. So they were just like, hey, like this video, like they told us too, no hero shots. There was no clear shot with like the shoes set up nicely. It was like, hey, this is a Bodega Reebok thing. Like we just had subtle, like you see the shoe in it. So like he was like, hey, this video is the first part of the rollout. So then they dropped the video. We did our thing. I always make stills, like these three, like three still collages, just from different frames throughout the video. So I did that. I posted that myself. And yeah, I guess, yeah. And then I don't know, on
It
to the
sounds
next
like it was a
one.
lot
Yeah,
of
that's
fun.
really how.
I'm
And then
sure.
after that, it's just getting the love from it. People loved it. I felt very appreciated. And yeah, I guess that's really it. That's the whole process.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think that's like, it's kind of, eye-opening, to hear all the little parts that go into it. And I do want to let everybody, that's sitting there waiting around to definitely feel free to ask any questions right now. Go ahead, like start typing away in the questions area, like ask a question if you have any, because I want them to answer that. I know we're kind of getting at 9, so I want to squeeze those
I
in while
just
we
saw the
can.
clock. But like I said,
But
I'm having fun. So like we could go
I
all
know
night.
it's
We could
always
talk
really fun
all
to
night.
talk
I'm
about
here.
I have so many questions, but I'm like, I'm going to try to refrain them. And next time I hang out with you guys, I'll ask them, but let the crowd ask. So go ahead, you guys, feel free to throw some questions and make sure to ask them. And of course, if anybody, you have to go still, you can feel free to email hello@channelsounds.com, and I'll make sure to send out those questions to the guys and have them answer it. And I'll shoot it back to everybody to hear. So let's see, do we get any questions?
If you want to shoot us one of yours right now, that's fine too.
Yeah, I can have you guys. I mean, one fun question I really wanted to ask was like, for you guys, how would you guys describe each other in one word?
Oh boy, let me think.
And
I feel like I already know what Yaz's word is going to be for me, but I love how we're both just leaning back now. We're like, huh, let me think.
Let me just take a
Who
second.
is this guy? I don't know, because I don't want to be basic and say creative.
No, creative director.
I'll say rowdy. I'll say rowdy.
Okay.
Rowdy. Okay.
I thought you would say crazy, which is basically the same. Yeah. Rowdy. I don't know, because now you say that, and now I think of you, and like you're more reserved. God, I don't know. One word is hard.
You can go with
tough. But when you've got it, we have a question. So, but you got to come up first with your one word. I can't let you go.
Phenomenal. Boom.
There you go.
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Better than what you said about me.
Hey, we can make rowdy, positive, like
rowdy
we were
can be
talking
good.
about on the Reebok set. So
No, I've always, I'm crazy.
all right. So the question we have is, who do you each draw inspiration from for your work?
So I mean, I guess treatment wise for videos specifically, I always tend to think very like unorthodox. And when I say that, I mean like I will literally get a song, like a track, listen to it, and it could be like a love song. But when it comes to like references that I want to use to inspire certain scenes or colors or outfits or whatever, I will literally think about like the most random things, like an episode of Dragon Ball Z, or like, I don't know, something that's just not related to it at all. And I think as our budgets with videos grow, and we're able to bring on like more like VFX and more like specifically like targeted titles for crew members, I think that's going to be shown a lot more. But yeah, in general, I don't really have like for videos at least, I don't really have like a person who inspires me. It's mainly just like my experiences, I guess. Photo wise, Greg Noir, he's a huge inspo, super dope photographer. Who else? JN Silva.
Wow, I know all those guys. Greg told me he liked my work like when I first was starting out, and like that made my whole year. Like yeah, I like screenshotted it. I was like, yo, Greg Noir likes my work. Let's go.
All I got is a fist bump from him at Gov Ball in 2018.
Oh, you
That
got
was
to
it.
meet him at least. But I guess for me, I want to say JMP. He's one of my favorite directors. He's a director now, but like he's always been like the cameraman. He came from Boston too. He kind of came up around like Stiz's era.
And he also manages Cave, who was the main
Yeah,
talent for the Bodega video.
yeah. So I've been following him for like years now. And I don't know, I guess like his style, like one thing camera work wise, like he always just has this like kind of natural shake that he does on beat, but it's like with a stabilizer on it. But like that like really made it stand out. But as far as where he's at now, like JMP directing, and then there's this guy Mike Koizel, I believe I'm saying his name right. But they work closely together. And he's a DP, which is director of photography. For the attendees that don't know, because I didn't know these terms. Like that's what I feel like I missed out on too, not going to film school. We can get into that another time or later.
Just have to bring you guys back
yeah,
on.
director of photography. You man the camera. You kind of make, the director says, hey, this is the scene. Like you make it pretty, lighting wise, and you just man the camera. So Mike and JMP, like a lot of the videos that I really love, like from JMP, Mike has shot. He's been the DP. And just to see, just knowing too that like, I'm in the same space that they were in, several years ago, and looking at where they are now, doing videos, working directly with Rolling Loud, doing videos for like Slump God, Black, like Six Lack, just in like Lil Nas X, he worked with like last year, but just to see that and be like, hey, like I'm in Boston, like it's happening for me. I'm not there yet, but like just to see that, like it's comforting. And I
Sure.
always will go back. I love on he's got a YouTube playlist of like all his videos, because everyone posts on their own YouTube. So like I always go back to it, and I'm like, okay, what can I step up? And even like I send videos to Yaz all the time. I'm like, yo, look at this video. This is cool. Like, just even if it's one scene, I'm like, look at this scene. It's like we should do something like it, transform it a little bit. So yeah, but I would say JMP, like he's my number one like inspiration with this. So
Love that for sure. So, okay, one more question, and then I have one final question to kind of wrap this all up. Sorry, everyone, we're kind of running a little bit over, but we got 2 questions, I promise, and then I'll have them plug themselves, and then we'll call it a night.
sweet.
So who are your favorite Boston visual creatives that aren't in this room?
Oof.
If they're talking about like just they came from Boston, definitely Simon, who's one of the founders of Parallel Agency. Who else?
Damien.
Gaito. I don't know if you guys know this kid named Gaito. This kid, I actually met him when he was just like literally just starting out. And this was during the portrait meets that I was talking about earlier. And I think I met him right before he went on tour with the rappers called like Montana of 300 or 3000 or something like that. I forget his name, but then he did that tour and then ended up working for Diddy. And yeah, he's long gone now from Boston. But and then local wise, OJ Slaughter, they're amazing. Emily Gardner, amazing photographer as well.
J.R. Alexander, he's a great
J.R. Alexander, yeah,
photographer. Damien, of course, which I'm sure a lot of people know. And then just our team too. Like we got this guy Jimmy Del Ponte.
Probably the illest editor in Boston.
Yeah, Jimmy's amazing. Sammy J, she's Providence, but it's still Boston. Like they're kind of like together. We're in the same. They're an hour down the road. So, let's see, Damien, Simon Morrison. He came from Boston, right?
Yeah, I used to play soccer with him.
Yeah, he's an amazing director. And Yeah, I'm trying to think. Troubleshooting is his, I forget his like government name or like his first name, but troubleshooting. This dude Pope, Marika, she's a
Oh,
phenomenal
Marika, yeah.
photographer.
Marika's dope.
Man, I'm trying to think. There's so many. There's so
Yeah, I
many that
know.
are like not coming right to mind because
And that's
like
awesome.
yeah, and I love seeing them. Like I saw so many at the BB show. I hope to see a bunch at Oompa show Friday, October 8th for the attendees here. Come to Paradise Rock Club.
Yeah,
Tickets are
everybody
only
come through.
$20. You'll see me there. If you ever, yeah. So if you don't have time, let me say this: if you don't have time to ask a question here, come to Paradise Rock Club. I'll
There
be
you go.
outside after.
You guys heard it. And if you guys are anywhere else in New England, drive down. So
Exactly. Yep.
awesome. So my final question for you guys to kind of wrap this whole thing together is just what kind of advice would you guys give to, people who are trying to step into this space and start getting creative? And I think, there's creativity in so many capacities, but just people, who really are looking and getting, especially in the space that you guys have been working in the music industry. And really just, I think for a lot of people, especially, people in college, like trying to figure out like, how do you get in this? And I remember talking to you guys about this, but getting into photography, videography, it's always like a stumble through it process. You never truly like, get taught it. And like you guys said, YouTube University, it's a lot of, just makeshifting and kind of being scrappy about it. So what would the advice you guys would give to somebody who's like really just trying to figure out, is this a viable career path for me? And like, how do I even get into it and get started?
You want me to go first, Colin?
I don't know. We're kind of just looking at each other.
I mean,
How did we do it?
It's like super plain and simple. Network and don't be afraid to ask for help. Like there's been so many situations in the past where like I've been screwed over and it's literally because I have never been in this situation before and I had no one to ask about like how I should approach it. So like I have people who reach out to me from time to time asking me for advice when it comes to contracts, how to send an email, how to send a pitch, whatever. Literally, like if you hit me up, I will send you like an email that I sent back in 2016 and show you what I would send now. Like I will do literally whatever I can to make sure that you don't get screwed over and are doing things like the right way and seem as professional as possible. Because yeah, all in all, it's just you gotta ask for help and network.
Yeah. And aside from that, be ready to fail. Be ready to be told no too. Like I said, like Yaz, like I don't want to speak for you, but like you started off one of your first gigs was a whole festival, and like have you been denied since then? Multiple times. Yeah, I've been denied multiple times. I've been denied several times this year for festivals. So just be ready to like, you have to fail. Like one of my mottos is like, if you're not failing, then you're not like doing what you need to do.
You're not growing, really.
Yeah, like you have to fail to learn. Like always be a student. I'm always going to be a student when I'm 80, and not only with creative stuff, just with life. Like don't be arrogant. Like don't act like you know everything. So I will always be a student with this. I'll fail a lot more. I'll succeed a lot more than I will fail. But yeah, y'all's really hit it though. Like ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
No, I love that. And you guys gave like a good example of that too, with like even something so established, like you guys have worked on multiple projects and Bodega reached out to you guys and like you guys worked on a Reebok Bodega, collab, but even then there was still, edits to be made, revision, things that the first treatment wasn't what they were looking for. And that's not a rejection. That's just we need an alteration. And like, it's not a no, it's like let's evolve this and see a better version of that. But it's like they're not personally attacking you in any way, so you're always learning. And
personally,
yeah, and don't take anything personally. That is, I mean, that's one of the 4 agreements.
Big lesson.
If you guys ever know that book, it's an amazing read. But one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally, especially in the creative industry, because some people
I can
be assholes
so hard. Don't let your emotions take over.
Yeah,
it'll screw you over.
Keep emotions and business like separate. as hard as it is. But at the same time though, like on your own time, let those emotions come into it. Go through the emotions. Like it sucks. I've failed. I've been denied. Like, I'm not saying like disregard everything negative. Like, think about it,
Learn
deal
from
with it. Go through the motions. But don't let it stop you. Just keep going. So
For sure. No, I love that. And I think that's a really great way to end this. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. I'm really excited just first off to have met you guys and be able to do this now with you guys. And hopefully I'll see you guys at a lot more shows. So
definitely Friday, October 8th.
everybody, that's one more time. But yeah, no, thank you everyone who's tuning in right now. And thank you, like for just being a part of this. And if you do have questions, I put the email. So make sure you email us. And if you guys, before you guys head off, do you guys want to plug yourselves, like plug the company, plug your handles, like anything, just go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, we got Ninth Planet Productions. We got the logo, everything, right? Boom. You're going to see this. We're going to put stickers. Like we just started this. So like, you're going to see stickers, posters everywhere, all over Boston.
The guerrilla marketing begins.
So yeah, Ninth Planet Productions. You can find us on Instagram, ninthplanetproductions.com. And that has links to like everything, YouTube. We're not on Twitter. I don't know if we will be because I have Twitter, but I don't even use it like that. Yeah, Ninth Planet. I don't know. My name is Colin Pagnoni. I'm gonna type it in. So that's just my @ name. I'll put it in the chat. Actually, no, I'm gonna put here. How do I? Oh,
you got it.
I can't do a paragraph. At Ninth Planet. All right, Yaz, you plug yourself while I type this.
My name's Ferrufino, one of the co-founders of Ninth Planet. And Colin, you could type in my thing right now.
You got like three underscores?
Yeah. Someone stole the YAZ. I'm so mad. I tried finding them. They blocked me because I tried buying the handle for them.
Oh man.
I'm gonna hit them up right now. Once we wrap up here.
Yeah, dude, you got it wrong. It's YA3_Z.
Uh-oh.
Well, man. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. Follow Ninth Planet. Don't follow anybody else.
Our things our @ names are in the Ninth Planet bio too. So
Yes. So awesome. You guys definitely check them out. Check out all of their amazing projects, all of their work. It's phenomenal, as Colin said. Phenomenal and rowdy. So
oh yeah.
Yes. Thankful for you guys. Thank you so much. And definitely see you guys soon.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone who tuned in too.
Yeah, this is super dope.
I don't know if you know us personally or just on social media, or if you're coming directly from Channel Sounds. But all of you, like, thank you. I'm super grateful that you guys spent an hour with us on a Tuesday. So
yes,
yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, see you guys soon. Take care.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.